All right. Good morning, everybody. It's good to see you. It's good to feel you in the field. I'm really happy you're here. Thank you for being here. And for those of you that are listening later or watching later, we welcome you to our Magic Cosmic Compass conversations. And everyone who's here live is part of creating a field that will then go out to all of you. So we're holding a space and creating a space for deepening into what has been moving through us, around us, deepening within us, hopefully, particularly over the last 2 weeks during the eclipse portal. So we're going to start with some breathing. That is the best place to start. So if you don't mind joining me, that's what we'll do. And if you're in a position where you can close your eyes, great. If not, just bring awareness to your body and to your breath. Just take a normal, natural breath, taking a moment to just be present with you, just being present with you. Nothing else you need to do right now. Well, hopefully, I mean, if you're doing other things, that's fine, but just take a moment, being present with yourself. If you can, close your eyes and drop your awareness down through your body, and just bringing awareness down from the top of your head, neck and jaw, shoulders, chest, solar plexus, womb space, lower dantian, root, hips, thighs, knees, calves, shins, ankles, feet, and everything else. And just allowing yourself to focus now on seriously how your feet feel. What do you notice on the soles of your feet? Bringing your awareness to the sensation of what is underneath your feet right now. And if you're sitting and you can touch the bottoms of your feet with your palms, that's great. Can feel the sensation there too. Taking a moment now to honor where you are, honor yourself. If it's comfortable to drop your awareness deeper into the earth, I'm very much about setting those roots down, grounding as much as you can, finding your way deeper into that stability and support. Certainly something we need right now. So from this place, that's where we're going to start our breathing. So we're going to breathe in up through the roots, up through the soles of the feet, expanding the belly, exhaling when you're ready. And breathing in up through the soles of the feet, up through the legs, expanding the belly. And exhaling when you're ready. Feeling that support in the earth and breathing in up through the soles of the feet. Expanding the belly. Exhaling when you're ready. One more time, breathing in. Exhaling when you're ready. So welcome. When you're ready to just come back into this space, feel your energy, feel how you feel in your body, knowing that you've just taken this time to just breathe. And breathing is a pretty important thing. So that's why we start with it. And it also creates the container that we are in right now. Very supportive container. So feel free, as we're moving around this morning through this integration time, put any comments you want in the chat. Feel free to dive in with interpretations. The chat will be, yeah, the chat is not available on YouTube, I don't think. So if I will save it, and if you want it later for your own remembrances, I'd be happy to send it. So it will get saved. It just won't be put on YouTube. I'm glad to hear that, Mary. I'm glad. Feeling good is good. So as we're here on the other side of a very large event astrologically, the full moon itself in Scorpio, opposite obviously the sun, that's what gives us the full moon, Uranus, Mercury, and Taurus, all of that energy already very potent, right? Already very powerful. We add to that an eclipse. And again, like I've shared I think I shared this last week in the newsletter or in the email, that eclipse on Friday brought to some conclusions, or brought to some completion what we started in November of 2021. So I realize the years are starting to go very quickly. So, or maybe not, but going back in time, looking at November 2021. And I had a very vivid memory of what was going on then. So I was able to track back. And I've heard from a couple of clients that I talked to last week who have shared with me some extraordinary stories, what was happening for them and how things have changed and shifted since that time. One thing I would like to say is that when we work with eclipse energy, when we work with this cosmic energy, it is very powerful. And so mindful intent is always the number one thing for me. And I remember that November of 2021, and we do the best we can. We do the best we can based on the information, the experiences, everything we have in our lives up to that point. So it would be easy for me to look back at November of 2021 and go, oh my God, what was I thinking, right? Look what occurred on that weekend that got put into motion. That has completed, that is complete for me. There's a whole other life path that has opened up for me since that time. So the question is, whatever it is that was put into motion or has been put into motion, can we trust that there is something better on the other side of, at least in my case, what was some horrific experiences? And so part of my work on the integration piece is to ask myself, okay, how am I pulling together, being with, pulling together, learning from, evolving through all the experiences that happened in the last 18 months? That's basically the big question at hand. And certainly, as I said in my email last week, I'm going to leave the collective astrology to the people that really enjoy doing it. And some people are really good at it. And I was reading some very interesting things about predictions for this time that we're moving into now. And so what I like to do, because I'm working with you, I'm working with a lot of one-on-ones, and what I like to do, and actually even as a group, like, where are the changes and shifts that are happening here? How are the changes and shifts that are happening internally allowing me to evolve and grow so that then I can help on a grander, that I can contribute, that I can be present. And for some of us, it's be present for ourselves and our healing. For some of us, it's being that plus family, that plus community, that plus there's a global vision that wants to be opened up. So this time is really about the question, how have I evolved? How have I grown? How have I deepened in the last 18 months? In a minute, I'm going to pull some cards, but I just really thought that as I'm moving through this, like as I'm working on the integration, one of the things that came up in a conversation yesterday, and I wanted to share this with all of you, was someone proposed the idea that maybe all the really super challenging experiences that happen so intensely and happen so quickly were a way to shift old stuff that needed to go in order to be present for what is right now. She had different words that I'm not going to use because they're not my words, but I thought, that's a good point. I did learn a lot about myself, and there were some things that came up around my childhood, around family, around how to navigate relationships, whether they're personal or professional. It all came up last year. Grief, incredible amounts of grief. How to navigate all that was really what I kept feeling and connecting into. And some of, the limitations of me, like my limitations, my, clear areas and need for growth. That's never a bad thing. And how am I going to implement what I learned now so I can go forward through the next portal? Because there's always a new portal opening when we have these eclipse times. So it's like, what's the next chapter? What's the next chapter? What is it? What does the next chapter want from you, from me? What is that next chapter asking for? And my guess is my next chapter is asking me to be stable and strong and healthy, able to navigate, challenges with a little bit more ease, but also able to celebrate and connect and have more joy, right? It doesn't have to be all about the tough stuff. It's like, am I receiving? How am I receiving? That was a big part. In the crux of it last year, in the darkness, there was a moment where I was asked to receive in a way that a part of me in the past would have just been like, no, 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 no. But I recognized in that moment, by receiving something that I normally would be like, I opened a portal. I opened a door. And I might get a little emotional with this because it's so amazing. The person who offered the resources she was offering, it gave her great pleasure to offer those from her heart. Who am I to shut that down? Really. And in the past, that's what I would have done immediately, shut it all down. But instead, I sat back and I thought, wow, the universe is showing me that this muscle around receiving is really important. How can receiving this help me then give more? And I think, again, it's probably the same message we come back to over and over again. But when love or any other resource is shared with us, how do I receive it? How do I receive that? How can I receive it with joy? How can I receive it with ease and grace and pleasure and gratitude? And we always hear about the gratitude work. It's really true. We all know about it, so I'm not going to go over it. But the gratitude is a big thing. How can I tune into that frequency more and more? So Taurus, Jupiter going into Taurus is our next big thing, right? This is going to be the moment in time where we want to know how to receive with joy, with pleasure, with ease, with grace, with gratitude. What will open the receptors? So how can we learn and integrate from what we're going through and what we've been through, and also be ready for that next chapter? Jupiter in Taurus is very powerful. There's a lot of energy that wants to be released, and it's very much about the body as much as it is about resources. Okay. So how many of us have been going through a few body things? Raise your hand. How many of us have been told we need to slow down? All right. This is not a joke. It is so important. If I say nothing today, it is remember to savor, to slow down, to not rush, to open up to the magnificence that's here around us all the time, the magic, the beauty. These are all very Taurian, right? This is where we are right now. We're in the Taurus, and Jupiter's about to go into Taurus. So how can I savor this? This only happens once every 12 years. I happen to have Jupiter in Taurus, so I'm like, I really want to enjoy this. It can very much give us what we need to get through very tough times. That was my last Jupiter return. Very, very challenging times. And I made it through, and I'm here today, and you're here today. So when we look back at 12 years ago, so see all of these pieces, there's all these ways to look back. One of the things that I can look back at and say, wow, that was the most challenging time of my life. But Jupiter was in Taurus. Shouldn't it have been easy? Shouldn't it have been more pleasurable? Well, sure. And what an incredible time to have that kind of support from the cosmos to get through what was a really tough time. Now, that's my Jupiter return. I have Jupiter in Taurus. It's going to be a little different for everybody. But remembering Jupiter and remembering Taurus, remember your body. Remember your ability to receive. Remember your ability to understand your value. And remember that gratitude and generosity, they're all a part of what we're heading into. And it's not that Jupiter in Aries isn't all of those things. It's just different. There's a different flavor to it. We have a lot more initiatory energy when Jupiter's in Aries. We have a lot of creative energy, pioneering energy. And we're going to shift. We'll have all of that, and we're going to add to it. So, okay, that was a lot more astrology than I planned on. So coming back to how am I integrating? How am I preparing? So now I'm going to pull some cards with the intent that this will help each of us personally. So I'm going to hold up each card so you can see it, hopefully. Never a promise on that one. We'll start with an anchor card, a grounding card, something that's just going to let us deepen into what we're here to do today. Okay. Well, as it turns out, this card is showing us what we're healing. Okay. So whenever you pull a tarot card, that is one of the more challenging ones. The way I look at it is when it's the first card, it's like, okay, this is at the root of what is being healed. Okay. So this is the root of what wants to be healed. So I'm going to put this card up for those of you that know Tarot, Three of Swords. Sorry, I can't get sometimes I try really, there we go. All right. Three of Swords. You can look at the card and kind of get an idea. Now, what's interesting is your perception. Somebody's going to see this card one way. Somebody's going to see this card another way. Your perception of the card is what matters here. That's really what matters. When I do the write-up later, I will in fact share more about what maybe a little affirmation to go with this card so that you can focus on that. But what's really important to me right now is your perception. What do you see? And if you feel something, what do you feel? What do you sense? What do you notice? And for the first time ever in my life, I'm having a different perception of this card. Maybe because I'm holding it up and I'm not looking at it directly, or maybe because I'm putting what the meaning is outside of my thought process right now. So if this is at the root of what we're healing, or if this is at the root of what's happening, it makes me really curious about a lot of different aspects of this. Their swords are a mental suit. In other words, we're talking about thoughts and patterns held in the mind. I don't want to put too many words into this, but you could go one way or the other with your perception of this. Are these people practicing, or is there real conflict going on? What is really What is really happening here? Angelus Arian Tarot Handbook. She has a very distinct way of looking at this, and I'll make sure to put that in the write-up. Again, looking at what it is that's being healed. And that this type of card, this particular card, these patterns show up because of things that happened in our childhood. So she's very specific in her way of looking at it. I will look also at the mother piece and see what Vicki Noble has to say. But again, what really matters is what you're feeling when you look at this card, how you see it, feel it, trust this. You know, I'm kind of feeling I have a lot of personal story around this card. Like I can dive into this. I pull this card a lot. So, you know, not a big surprise, right? I promise these are not my personal readings. I really am pulling for the collective. We're going to next pull from the Light Seers Tarot deck. This one. Chris Ann. I really appreciate all these people who have, and some of you out there who are writing, creating your own decks. Thank you. Pull another card to kind of show us where we're going with this. What's happening with this? Why is this card our card? And the next card, I think we've pulled this one before too. The Eight of Wands. So the Eight of Wands, what do you see? What do you feel? Looks like definitely to me, I mean, I don't want to say too much, but it feels like an opening, possibilities. Wands are creative fire, inner fire, creative realm. So there's an opening or a portal or something that wants to allow us to heal. That's what I'm coming up with right now. So I'm just going to go with that for right now. It can be anything you want it to be, but that's my thought right now. Again, your intuition is going to guide you really well. And then the next card, again, I've mixed these up a million times, but this one we've pulled also before, Page of Pentacles. Trying to get it to come into a focus here. There we go. Page of Pentacles. So we've got swords and wands and pentacles. Pentacles is very earth, very resource oriented. It's definitely, the page has some growth and learning that's happening, right? But also there's a level of skill here that's happening with resource or resources. Okay, so just a thought as we move forward. If the first card is asking us, like, what patterns or thoughts have been limiting for us, let's just keep it simple. And the second card is saying this portal is opening for us to allow us to make change, to heal, to open up to new ways. And I'm going to have to apply this to myself too. And just so you know, every time I do this, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to do this too. No, it's all good. The Page of Pentacles seems to say, okay, you have some level of skill here, particularly around resources. So that makes me think about Jupiter and Taurus. It also makes me think about, you know, the planets that were opposite the full moon last week. How can I work with the levels of skill that I already have and also heal the old stuff, let go of the old stuff so that I'm ready for this next chapter? And again, part of getting ready is to understand what completed. So again, what completed, what was the 18-month cycle that feels like it's completing or is in process of completing? And then this next chapter, what am I going to be navigating? Okay. So those cards, and then I'm going to pull a card. This is from a very special deck, a story of which I cannot really share with you publicly, but just let's say it's a very special deck, and I'm very grateful to have been gifted this deck. The Work Your Light Oracle by Rebecca Campbell, artwork by Danielle Noel. Okay. Jenna uses this one a lot too, and we both love this. So these are oracle cards, not tarot cards. So this is going to give us, I'm putting this as a what is going to support us, what will support us in this process that we're in right now, or processes, I should say, you know, the culmination of, the completion of, the what have I learned, what am I taking forward, what am I letting go of, what patterns, what is this next portal, how is it going to help me work with resources, you know, utilize my skills. So this is going to be an energy that's going to support us. Okay. And then I will actually read about it because the cards are beautiful and I want you to take it in and really interpret it for yourself first, but then I will share because it is really fascinating. Oracle cards have a different experience for me because I do want to know what the author wrote about. Not that I don't want to know what the author wrote about in the other, but it is really, it's fun to see what these cards represent. How are we being supported? Okay. Well, this should not surprise anybody. Not one bit. Birthing a new age. Birthing new creations. Dreaming a new world into being. Okay, now this is where it gets serious, right? So many times I hear the question, why am I going through what I'm going through? I ask that same question. Ultimately, and I can only speak for myself, but if my soul chose to come here at this time, it's highly possible that everything I'm going through somehow is leading me to greater compassion, deepening my evolution, having greater skill sets to help other people, understanding how I might contribute in higher and better ways, right? So, that said, birthing a new age. It's almost as I almost don't really need to read this because it seems pretty straightforward. But that being said, what is your part in this? And I can feel through the ethers. I can feel some of your profound insights already. I can see how you can see yourself in the midst of things, the future, the past, the present, right? Dreaming a new world into being. Okay. I am going to actually look it up, but I do want to say that I know those of you that are here right now, and I know that you know that I know that so much of what the choices, the actions you're taking, the choices you're making are really truly designed to bring more health, more healing, more awareness, more respect, more love into the world. And that is a great thing. So the first part of the reading really shows us, I think, what's happening here within each of us so that we can get to this next part. So I'll just read this last part. Or actually, I'll read the first part and the last part. Often our path is exactly the one we don't feel prepared to walk. Yep. Walk it anyway. Okay. Often what is rising feels far bigger than we could possibly hold. Be a container for it anyway. Often our creations seem to have a wild, uncontrollable consciousness of their own. Birth them anyway. Often what is ours to do is the very thing that most intimidates us. Be courageous and do it anyway. We are birthing a new age. We're in a transition period. I might as well just read this whole thing because it totally fits. In the process of allowing the old cycle to fall away and the new to rise. Like driving in the fog and trusting the road will appear ahead. We need to release old identities and ways that no longer serve us, using our intuition as compass. Okay. All right. You are a part of a group of souls who have been incarnating at significant periods of history preparing for this exact time. All right. It is time to give permission and space for what is beckoning within to be born. We are dreaming a new world into being. Okay, super profound. Now you know why I like this deck. Okay, a lot of good stuff here. Right, exactly. Thank you, Becky. So, yeah, you get to this point and it's like, well, it is called the Work Your Light Oracle Deck by Rebecca Campbell and Danielle Noel. Okay. So, yeah, that was profound. I mean, what more am I going to say after that, right? But there's not much more I'm going to say. Alrighty, what I want to do is just gently review a little bit so that we have the process in front of us. So we had these eclipse, the eclipse energy. We have what we were doing 18 months ago. Where had that led us? How is that completing? What have we learned? How have we evolved? And helping us prepare for what's next, because now we're being pulled into the next cycle, right? We know that part of the healing has to do with potentially, let's see if I can get it to come into, no, oh, there we go. Potentially, what is this? What is this in the mind? That maybe an old pattern or an old way of being, something we learned, something that is in us that wants to be released and shifted and healed. So collectively, we each need to do this. So, I mean, that sounds kind of funny the way I just said that, but in order for the collective to move forward, then we each have our part in this. So there is something to be healed. And as I was sharing earlier about what it means to receive, how does that feel? What is that? How can I open to this universe, particularly as Jupiter starts to move into Taurus in about a week, less than a week, or exactly a week. All right, so the first step is to recognize that there is another portal that's opened and is open and has opened and is opening all the time for us. I'm sorry, that's not yet finding its way to success, but you get the feeling maybe it needs to be a little blurry right now anyway. But this idea of opening and energy and creative life force and the cosmos, it really does feel like a wormhole. It really does remind me a lot of an eclipse portal, honestly. Okay. And then as we heal, connect, work with the shadow, absolutely 100%. And again, one of the things I do love about the Light Seers Tarot is that there is a shadow element in the booklet. I don't necessarily put that in the follow-up, but this is a really good deck, just so you know. When we move to the Page of Pentacles and we're working with the energy of resource and the earth, anyone can tell me how it is that this camera wants to work, when it works and then it doesn't work. There we go. There's a level of skill that we already have. There's a level of needing to navigate. There's a level of balance. What is it about resources? The Pentacles really support the resources. What is it about navigating this time? And again, before you even look at a booklet, what do you feel when you see this card? What is here? I mean, I know when I look at this card, I have a lot of things come to the surface. Yeah, a lot that surfaces and allows me to consider possibilities and also consider new places where I might want to do some more healing work in order to get ready for what's next. And then the question was, what's here to help us? Well, what's here to help us was this reminder that we are birthing a new age, that we chose to come here at this time. And again, this card, even just like the photo or the artwork on this card, the collage work, that may speak to you in some very personal way. It certainly speaks to me in a very personal way. And it also collectively is a good reminder of, this is the energy that's going to support us. This is why we're here. birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being, right? All right. So super happy to have this opportunity right now. Before I turn off the recording, if there is anyone who wants to put a question in the chat or put a comment in the chat that you want to be included in this, that would be great. You know, next week I'm going to have a guest, so we won't be doing this again next week. Well, I'll pull some cards, but we won't be going as deep as we are this week. So if there's anything you want to put in the chat, feel free. And yeah, next week we're going to be, I'm so excited. We're going to be having a wonderful, certified, very professional, past life expert hypnotherapist. Even more than that, like the words don't even quite do it, but she will be here next week. And I'm excited about that. And there will be some weeks I'm going to take off. I think I'll probably, I'm not sure which weeks this month, but there'll be a couple Mondays where I won't be here, but next week will be really fun. So if there's anything flowing through you right now from this reading and you want to put it in the chat and you want it to be included in the recording, feel free. If not, I totally am fine with that. One of the things that I'm very aware of as we sit in circle together, as we create this container together, is that each of us has a particular contribution, and sometimes it's more than one. The greatest contribution, honestly, and I know this may seem really simple, but the greatest contribution, really, Taurus time right now, is to love yourself and then to allow love to flow through you so that love can go to others. You know, there's so many different ways to say this, but in the end, why are we here? You know, that is always the big question. And we want to do our best while we're here. But in the end, isn't it to be, as I always say, right, a vehicle of light and love? Isn't that why we're here? At least that's how I've come to see it. I do not expect that to be true for everyone, but as that's what I've come to for myself. Now, do I always act in accordance with that? Not always, no, but I try, you know, and that's the thing. I'm human and I have these things to work through. And so that's where I'm coming from. And there are just some amazing beings on this planet, human, animal, nature, the cosmos, the stars. It's all pretty amazing. Okay, well, we have probably reached a time for me to conclude the recording for today. I'm going to turn off the recording, and then if any of you want to come on camera and chat a bit, I will stay here for a little bit longer. So let me just be careful.